boxing skills are sublime. No doubt he's pound for pound one of the best on the planet Earth. Crawford is the real deal.
Terence, Bud, Crawford can't beat no Canelo Alvarez. I beg to differ. He gonna smash Canelo Alvarez, man. I'm telling y'all right now.
Honestly, like, as of right now, I think Bud to beat Canelo. It's not gonna switch. There's nothing that's gonna change what I feel.
StephenASmith and Max Kellerman argue that Canelo Alvarez has a critical weakness that Terence Crawford could exploit, making Canelo not as dominant as many believe. They praise Crawford as the greatest of his era, noting his precision, fluid movement, and boxing IQ, which they believe would expose Canelo's flaws and lead to him being thoroughly outclassed and convincingly defeated.
Terence Crawford, not too soon. Maybe you take a year off and then come back and work your way to the 154, 160 division, and Terence Crawford be there and y'all want to meet again. That's cool. That's cool. But you don't need to be going back in the ring with him this December. I know that much.
StephenASmith emphasizes that Canelo Alvarez relies too heavily on power punches, assuming sheer strength is enough to guarantee victory. He argues this strategy won't work against Terence Crawford, who excels with skill, movement, and precision. Smith insists that beating a fighter of Crawford's caliber requires much more than heavy shots, and Canelo's predictable dependence on power will ultimately falter against Crawford's superior ring IQ.
For boxing.
Yes,
Who gonna win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest
Crawford.
fight in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating. Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You gonna stand on that all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
When I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway for crying out loud,
Right.
It's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yeah.
That's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, stronger fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's gonna go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always ready.
Always prepared.
He's always ready. He's
that.
always prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster.
Max Kellerman's analysis highlights the contrast between skill and physicality in a potential Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford clash. He notes that Crawford's jab has become one of boxing's sharpest tools, allowing him to control distance and dictate the pace, while Canelo's once effective jab has diminished, forcing him to rely more on power and counterpunching. Kellerman argues that Crawford's precision, timing, and ring IQ could neutralize Canelo's size advantage, demonstrating that tactical skill and adaptability may ultimately surpass raw power in this matchup.
Crawford. Best defense. Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring. But, early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him.
Timothy Bradley Jr. draws a striking parallel between the doubts once cast on Muhammad Ali and the skepticism now surrounding Terence Crawford. He recalls how many believed Ali couldn't overcome George Foreman's size and power, yet Ali proved them wrong with strategy, intelligence, and resilience. Bradley sees a similar narrative unfolding for Crawford, with critics claiming he can't beat Canelo Alvarez due to the size difference. However, Bradley argues that greatness isn't defined by physical stature but by determination, skill, and preparation. He emphasizes that Crawford has spent an entire year training specifically for Canelo, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to defying the odds just as Ali once did.
They said Ali couldn't beat George Foreman. Yep. They said that Jack Dempsey couldn't beat Jess Willard. Yeah. 6'6", Jess Willard, 250 plus pounds. Little old Jack Dempsey knocked him out. Yeah, they saying Terence Bud Crawford can't beat no Canelo Alvarez. I beg to differ. He gonna smash Canelo Alvarez, man. I'm telling y'all right now. He gonna smash Canelo Alvarez. It's not gonna even be a fair fight. I promise you that. It's not gonna be a fair fight. Because the minute he get acclimated to that punching power, it's gonna be over for Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, that wide swinging left hook, them big looping right hands. Oh, he can straighten that right hand. You don't think they're gonna be ready for that? Crawford and his team are the best in the business. Yeah, best in the business. Crawford has trained for this for an entire year. 1 year for one man. Thinking about him every day when he's out there grinding, watching video, studying film. Yeah, everybody talking about the weight. Oh, the weight, he too heavy. Tell, it was weight classes for a reason and all of this crap. Man, you think greatness is just built on just being comfortable? Greatness is built on being uncomfortable. Yeah, before we even landed on the moon, it was an idea, right? It was an idea. And then they brought it to life, and we landed on the moon. I know there's some conspiracy theories out there saying that we didn't land on the moon, but you know what the hell I'm talking about. You get it? Yeah, we talk about size. Like size is everything. What about skill? What about mentality?
Bernie, Crawford's longtime trainer, firmly rejects the notion that Crawford is undersized for this fight, arguing that his frame and physical presence have long been underestimated. He points to Crawford's dominant performances in higher weight classes as proof that he's not just a smaller fighter recklessly moving up. Instead, Crawford is strategic, calculated, and fully prepared to handle larger opponents. Bernie stresses that the real deciding factor won't be size, but the ability to think, adapt, and outmaneuver in the ring. He highlights that Crawford and his team pride themselves on being smarter and sharper than Canelo's camp, a level of preparation that could ultimately swing the fight in Crawford's favor.